Jonathan, great to see you again.
Likewise, Joe. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. It's always nice to catch up with you. You've been kind enough to carve out some time for me in recent days for this continuing series. For this chapter, I wanted to zero in on cloud, but not just, public cloud.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about multi-cloud and sort of hybrid networking and some of the big trends you're seeing there. And I'll frame it this way. If I'm an end customer or any type of user these days, I'm working A from anywhere, and then B, my applications can be loaded anywhere. They can be on premises, they could be at a data center, they can be off in a third-party cloud. Um, does does that reality require? I'm asking a loaded question. I assume that reality requires a new approach to security or a refined approach to security.
Yeah, it does. I think we just released our 2021 Fortinet Cloud Trends report.
Hmm.
And without a doubt, it shows that security is the primary concern about a cloud adoption. It shows a unprecedented amount of unplanned spending in public cloud during the pandemic, right? So everyone literally want to be a cloud native overnight. There was a mad rush to do that. But at the same time, it demonstrated that it's really about a hybrid multi-cloud environment, that just about everyone has adopted cloud. A good sized majority have adopted a hybrid model. Indeed, some 27% now have actually adopted a hybrid multi-cloud model, where they're not only in their private clouds, but they're across the largest public clouds in the world today. And so what you're seeing today is a very much more disaggregated, much more distributed computing model. Computing is now distributed between the home office of one, the branch office, the retail office, traditional enterprise headquarters facilities, into the largest public clouds. And at the same time, you're seeing a larger set of requirements because everything's accelerated, everything is integrated, and it's about outcomes and experiences. And you cannot have optimized outcomes and experiences if you deconstruct security from networking and you just deconstruct that from cloud. All three elements have to work together. And I think that's the big realization right now, is that in order to optimize SD-WAN, which is highly self-healing and critical application aware, right? Security, which with AI is highly adaptable, and cloud, which is inherently elastic. Unless you have integration across all three of those domains, what you end up having are really optimized bottlenecks.
Mm.
And so, as you scale your cloud, does your networking component in SD-WAN scale to enable that level of compute? Because you're shifting from, let's say, broadband to MPLS as needed, right, for those critical applications. And likewise, can your security scale on demand as well? You're seeing that dynamic of everything as a service on demand, and that's very pervasive through the MSS industry today.
Yeah. Now, where does secure access service edge fit into this conversation? There's a lot,
Yeah,
there's a lot of reality in terms of no
yeah,
doubt adoption is growing quickly, but there's also a lot of hype. I hear different
yeah, yeah,
terminology
yeah,
assigned to this. So
yeah.
how do you see it?
So big macro trend over the last 5 years, going forward in the next 5 years, has been cloud adoption. So as you begin to adopt cloud, especially public cloud and hybrids, you're progressively owning less infrastructure and less platform and utilizing somebody else's. And our org charts are going to move from hierarchical linear charts to more racy matrices, right? Because we're going to have more third-party providers providing critical services. And so there's a lot of complexity in this space today. The reason why SASE became prominent is because of the shift in the compute. As we shift compute from our data centers to somebody else's computing and platform, somebody else's cloud, well, we're not backhauling that traffic back to a centralized data center, a security stack. Now we're consuming directly services and resources from multiple clouds. And so it came up from Gartner. SASE was a requirement to deliver security onto these new network edges, right? And
Mm.
these network edges are key, because one of the things I came across in our FortiGuard Labs research and my own experience in running threat research was that data residing and transiting through network edges is where it's most vulnerable. Network edges, if you don't have the right visibility and control, that's where misconfigured devices dwell. It's where vulnerabilities go unpatched. It's where anomalous behavior goes undetected and uninvestigated. And so therefore, SASE is driven by cloud adoption, which drives the need for SD-WAN. So security on these edges, as defined by Gartner, being Zero Trust, SD-WAN, firewalls as a service, secure web gateways as a service, and cloud access security brokerage, CASB. Those capabilities round out where we're going. But if you look at that, you deconstruct it. What are the big themes here? Cloud, SD-WAN, Zero Trust, right? And the ability to integrate and converge. For an MSSP or MSP or any service provider, I think table stakes moving forward will be the ability to deliver integrated secure SD-WAN. That means SASE, that means Zero Trust moving forward. You have to have that capability. And then if you can provide that integration between those services and clouds, then you're delivering a unified view for that customer. And that's what they're really looking for. 78% of the respondents in our research said they really are looking for not only a trusted advisor, but they're looking for a consolidated single pane of glass that gives them visibility across that ecosystem, right? And that's what we're all looking for. We're looking for an ability to understand what our current state is, what is the gap between the current state and our desired state, and what do we need to do to get there?
Now, how far along do you think service providers are? And I know it'll vary. It varies from
Yeah.
service provider to service provider, but the overall market, the whole SASE wave, SD-WAN, Zero Trust, are we making progress as an overall ecosystem in this journey?
It depends on what sector you're speaking to. Certain sectors will lag behind. Certain sectors will be ahead. Financial services, the critical infrastructures, they seem to get it. They understand Zero Trust. I think the enterprise market, SMBs, are just beginning to realize that, wow, all these elements really have to work together and to deliver those outcomes. The service providers are realizing, wow, it's really hard to cobble all these things together and look across networking, security, and the compute, and to deliver a single pane of glass. I don't know if I can do that. And there's not enough people. And so they're all trying to consolidate. I think we're on the cusp of something, though.
Yeah.
I think from a technology perspective, we've evolved from point defense products to platforms to really security fabrics, like that Fortinet security fabric that was coined back in 2015. The idea that you have to be able to implement, converged networking and security, deliver Zero Trust, adaptive cloud security, so it's the same look and feel across a cloud, any application, right? And the ability to do that in an integrated fashion. I think that is where we're at next. The technology is there. Right. So I think you told me earlier, a lot of what we deal with are organizational and cultural issues, right? But once we get over that, I think we're going to be there.
Yeah, I think so. I think the larger MSSPs are well along in this journey in many areas. For some of the smaller MSPs that are moving into security and multi-cloud, I want to try and boil down the conversation for them and give them some best practices. So for instance, here's a prime example. In the United States, as you and I are talking here, we're knock on wood emerging from the pandemic, generally speaking. I think small businesses, enterprises too, but to bring it down to a small business conversation, an MSP's end customer, one day they may be working from home, the next day they may be working remotely, the next day they may be working in the small business home office or the corporate office of the small business. In that world, should the MSP be thinking about sort of this secure access service edge with the Zero Trust access? I mean, does that all pertain even at the small business level? It's not just an enterprise conversation?
Yeah, because the threat environment's going to drive that there. We're even seeing SD-WAN for home offices right now, because you've got people with elevated privileges and responsibility. Our own CMO has SD-WAN in the home. The executive team has SD-WAN in the home. So you're going to see that because of that optimized networking capability being pervasive. If I were a small MSP or MSSP right now, I'm looking for the best performance in a consolidated platform at the lowest cost, right? And ease. I'm looking for the ability to deliver integrated secure SD-WAN. I want SD-WAN and security on one form factor, on one next generation firewall that I can turn up and turn down as I need, as a customer demand. I'm looking for that platform that bridges the legacy environment, the cloud environment, that delivers a single pane of glass. I'm also looking for a platform that reduces the complexity of my own environment so that I don't have so many management consoles, that my engineers don't have to be trained on too many products, so that I continually can scale, right? Because the practical reality is that these SMBs and these mid-market companies aren't saying, I'm an XYZ vendor shop. And I need you to deliver that technology, that vendor on my prem. No. They're saying, I need a reasonable level of care in security. I need SD-WAN. I need this performance. I need these outcomes. I need you to deliver continually better experience. And so what happens at that point is that that service provider is free, really, to embrace the most optimized technology that consolidates and delivers those performance points. And I would say avoid box sprawl, reduce as much complexity as you can, and find a platform that is the common denominator across networking, security, and cloud. And that's how you begin to deliver first your firewalling services, but eventually you're moving up that value chain. You're going to deliver SD-WAN, you're going to deliver SASE, you're going to deliver cloud security. And that's how you do that with a platform that scales quite readily.
Got it. Now, if I'm a service provider watching this and when I want to learn a little bit more about SASE and maybe I haven't even started the journey yet, are there any best practices or first tips you would share, or anything online you would lead them to?
Yeah, I would go to Fortinet.com and take a look at SD-WAN. There are a trove of resources. There are videos, there are white papers that help service providers not only understand the market, but really the most readily approached way of getting started. Whether you're just starting out or whether you're a mature MSSP and thinking about now strategically, what do I need to do as my enterprise customers begin to shift their computing to a much more hybrid model. So go to Fortinet.com or find me on LinkedIn. I'm happy to have an offline non-sales discussion. We can talk shop and practical realities about what it is to be in a service provider, and we can compare notes easily.
Fantastic. Well, Jonathan, thank you as usual for the conversation. I appreciate it.
Hey, thanks, Joe. It's always great to talk to you. Take care.